We were 4 courses deep into the dinner when the laughter started. Only it wasn't mine, it was theirs. The waiter placed a leather folder on the table with an almost ceremonial flourish, its contents heavy with the weight of what was coming. 198,000 rupees, plus tip. Her father, Raji Malhotra, leaned back in his chair, rubbing his round belly like he was a king enjoying his feast. The laughter was thick, almost mocking. Her mother, sitting beside him, clutched her pearls, snorting between bursts of laughter. "Oh, son-in-law," she said between giggles. "We forgot our wallets, and our cards, too." The laughter was loud, cruel even. It wasn't the first time they had made me feel small, but it would be the last. I took a slow sip from my glass of wine, letting the tension build in the room. I let the silence stretch, then gently placed my glass down. I met both of their eyes with calmness that barely betrayed the storm brewing inside me. "That's all right," I said evenly, my voice steady. "I didn't come here to pay." Their faces twisted first in confusion, then irritation. I allowed myself a small smile. When I married Rhea, I had envisioned joining a family. The kind of family where shared meals meant something, where there was warm support and a sense of belonging. But with them, family was nothing more than a performance, a costume they wore for appearances. Beneath the pretentious smiles and gifts, there was always a sharp edge. I was the poor outsider, the charity case. They tolerated my presence because their daughter loved me. I wasn't part of the picture they had in mind, but I was there nonetheless. They hid it behind backhanded compliments. Gift boxes would use items, and bills mistakenly forwarded to me. But the worst part was the dinners, lavish. Public affairs always ending with them forgetting their wallets. Always a scene. Always me left holding the bill. At first, I laughed it off. Then I tolerated it. Eventually, I swallowed it, poisoned with a smile. 6 months ago, everything changed. I overheard Raji late at night, his voice slurring from the alcohol, loud enough for the whole house to hear. "He's nothing. Rhea married down. I give it 2 more years, then we'll find her a real husband." That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't speak to Rhea. I just watched, silently, observing everything from that moment forward. I watched them use our names to secure loans, my credentials to gain investor trust. I found forged signatures and falsified tax statements with my own pen. They were bleeding me, slowly, with politeness, deception, and lies. I knew it was time to stop playing along. First, I played the fool. I kept paying the bills. I kept laughing at their insults. I let them think I was a harmless, spineless in-law they could walk all over. Meanwhile, I documented everything. I traced fake accounts. I froze their assets. I hired a friend in forensic finance to quietly dismantle their empire from the inside. They had no idea that the man they mocked every chance they got was now sitting across from their bank managers in private, silent meetings. And then came the night of their 30th anniversary celebration, a grand affair at the city's most expensive rooftop restaurant. They ordered the finest courses, the imported wines. The waiters were instructed to bow deeper than usual. It was all for show, a performance. They invited 40 guests, all at my expense. I paid for none of it. Back at the table, the laughter had died down. Rhea's mother cleared her throat, looking at me. "Beta, stop joking. Just pay it. We'll reimburse you." I leaned forward, staring at her with cold certainty. "I'm not joking," I replied. Raji's lips curled into a smile, one that held only contempt. "You brought us here. You pay. That's how it works." "No," I said, my voice now a steel edge. "How this works has changed." I turned to the waiter, who had been hovering quietly behind us. "Bring the bill to Mr. Malhotra. He owns the company that booked this room." The waiter looked confused. "But the reservation is under your name, sir." I nodded. "Yes, and the account is under his company, the one currently under investigation for tax fraud and identity theft." Silence. Rhea stared at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. "What are you saying?" she whispered, barely able to breathe. I reached into my pocket, placing 2 files on the table in front of her parents. One contained a full dossier of financial fraud, complete with copies of documents they thought were buried. The other was a legal notice, official, sealed, and signed. I'm pressing charges. I said, my voice devoid of emotion, not just for theft, but for using my name to secure legal loans. You involved me, so I involved authorities. Her mother's face drained of color. Reggie's smug expression faltered, replaced with panic. He stood up, shouting angrily. Ungrateful? I cut him off, my tone sharp. No, you are. For thinking I wouldn't notice. For thinking I wouldn't retaliate. At that moment, 2 plainclothed officers stood up from nearby tables. Meet Inspector Cole and Inspector Romesh, I said with a slight smirk. They've been dining with us all evening. Happy anniversary. Reggie and his wife were escorted out in silence. Guests whispered, scandalized by what they had just witnessed. Rhea stood there motionless, her eyes flashing with betrayal. Not toward me, but toward them. We didn't speak on the ride home. 2 weeks later, she filed for separation. I didn't contest it. She was more their daughter than my wife. That night, alone in my apartment, I ordered a cheap takeout meal. As I sat by the window, I realized that peace doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like silence returning after years of static. Justice doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just waits. They laughed at me for years, mocked me, humiliated me. But this time, when the bill came, it wasn't just monetary. It was a reckoning. And I didn't pay it. They did.